All right, let's talk about one of the most frustrating moments for any mushroom grower. You've done everything right, you've got this beautiful, healthy block of mycelium, and then nothing. It just stops. Today, we are going to solve that exact problem.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You're looking at this incredible, vibrant network of life, and you're just waiting for those first little mushroom pins to pop up. But days go by, maybe even a week, and crickets. The whole project just seems to have gone completely silent.
Well, there's actually a name for this. It's called the silent stall. And here's the good news. It's not some unsolvable mystery. It's actually your fungus trying to tell you something. And today, we're going to learn its language. First things first, we've got to understand the main character in this story.
And that, of course, is the mycelium. You can think of it like the root system of a plant. Right now, its only job, its entire focus, is to grow. It wants to spread out, eat up all the nutrients in its home, and just get as big and strong as it possibly can. It is in full-on expansion mode.
And here's the key. Mycelium doesn't just wake up one day and decide to grow mushrooms. No, it has to be persuaded. As the grower, it's our job to create a very specific set of environmental triggers that basically tell the mycelium, okay, awesome job growing, but that phase is over. It's time to reproduce now. And for a fungus, reproducing means making mushrooms.
So, what's the first trigger? Let's dive into clue number 1 for solving this puzzle, the temperature switch. Honestly, this is one of the most powerful tools you have.
Okay, so what's really happening here is the fungus has two totally different jobs. During incubation, it's all about that rapid growth. It loves being warm and cozy. Somewhere around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius is its happy place. But to fruit, it's looking for a sign from nature that the season is about to change. It's waiting for things to cool down.
And this is the magic number it's looking for, a drop of about 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. This is what we call a cold shock. And for so many mushroom species, this is the main biological signal that just screams, hey, fall is here, time to make mushrooms, now. But you have to be careful, because temperature can be a bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, getting this wrong can be a total disaster. If you go too hot, you could literally cook your mycelium to death, or even worse, create the perfect breeding ground for nasty competitor molds. But if you go too cold, well, you're right back where you started, with a silent stall where absolutely nothing happens.
Okay, on to our second clue. Temperature is just one part of the equation. The next piece of the puzzle, and you could argue it's the most important, is the moisture balance.
Just look at that number for a second. 90%. That's roughly how much of a mushroom is just water. It's a staggering amount, really, and it explains absolutely everything about why our next condition is so critical.
And this chart just drives that point home. When something is made of 90% water, you can bet it's going to be incredibly sensitive to the humidity in the air around it. This isn't just something mushrooms prefer, it's an absolute biological necessity for them to survive.
And here's the reason why. Think about a plant. It has that waxy skin, a cuticle, that helps it hold water in. A mushroom? It has nothing like that. It's basically completely exposed to the elements. So if the air around it is dry, that mushroom is going to lose its water to the air, fast. And when that happens, you get this, which is just a heartbreaking sight for any grower. They're called aborts. These are tiny little mushroom pins that tried to grow, but the air was just too dry. So they stalled out, dried up, and died. If you see these little brown nubs, that is a direct message from your fungus, and it's saying, I'm too thirsty to grow.
So we've got temperature and we've got humidity. But there is one more vital signal your mycelium is listening for. Let's call it the breath of life. We're talking about ventilation.
I absolutely love this quote. It just makes a pretty complex biological process so easy to understand. Just like you and me, fungi are breathing. They're taking in oxygen and they're exhaling carbon dioxide. And the ratio between those two gases is our third huge signal.
Now here's the fascinating part. Back in that incubation phase, when the mycelium is just colonizing its substrate, it actually loves a high CO2 environment. It helps it grow. But the second it's ready to form a mushroom, high CO2 becomes a giant red stop sign. It needs fresh air, and it needs it now.
And that fresh air does two incredibly important things. First, obviously, it brings in that needed oxygen and it gets rid of the CO2. But second, and this is so cool, the airflow moving across the wet surface of your substrate causes a little bit of evaporation.
That physical sensation of water evaporating off its surface is another powerful biological trigger that tells the mushroom pins to start growing up towards the fresh air.
And if you get the air exchange wrong, don't worry, your mushrooms will tell you. You'll see this staghorn growth. It's a classic symptom of poor ventilation. The mushrooms grow these super long, kind of stringy stems with tiny little caps because they're literally stretching and desperately reaching for more oxygen.
Okay, so we've gathered our clues: temperature, humidity, and fresh air exchange. Now, let's put it all together into a really simple, actionable solution: the grower's checklist.
This table right here is basically your ultimate cheat sheet. If your mushrooms have stalled, this is where you look. Is your temperature too low, causing slow growth? Is your humidity too low, causing those aborts? Or is a lack of ventilation giving you those leggy mushrooms? And you can also see the problems with having too much of a good thing, like mold or rot. It's all about finding that perfect sweet spot.
And that really is the biggest takeaway here. The secret to breaking the silent stall isn't about getting one of these things perfect. It's about understanding how all three of them, temperature, humidity, and fresh air, work together. They create this kind of symphony of environmental signals that, when you get the balance just right, finally tells your mycelium it is safe and it is time to fruit.
So you see, the silent stall isn't a mystery anymore. It's really a conversation. By managing these three key factors, you're learning to speak your mushroom's language. You now have the tools to listen to what your mycelium is telling you and give it exactly the signals it has been waiting for. So the only question left is, what are you going to grow next?